idea. I will find him!
You're a breed. Men are brave.
It's not about deserve. It's about what you believe.
Could've just peed on him.
Like brunch. Like, what is brunch?
The story of the Defiance is well known.
What, we some kind of suicide squad?
Heroes don't kill people.
Well, I do.
Martha!
Hello everyone and welcome back to Enter the SnyderVerse. Look, we're back. We knew we were always going to return here someday and we're finally here. I'm Nathan, I'm one of your hosts and I'm so excited to be here for this return to Enter the SnyderVerse, and I'm joined by my very talented co-host, editor, YouTube extraordinaire.
Hey.
Brilliant, anticlimactic, just like the DCEU.
Well, yes, we should make it clear that obviously this show has nothing to do with the SnyderVerse, although I did see that the Snyders are still producers on this. I think I saw that in the credits.
I didn't notice that. However, I imagine that the Snyders are going to be executive producers on anything that existed during that era that they oversaw, and this is like... This
I could
happened
be
during
totally
that
making
era.
this up, but I thought I saw Zach and... Is it Lydia? Is his wife's name?
Barbara.
Barbara Snyder. I think I saw that in the credits in one of the episodes.
Panickingly checking to make sure her name's Barbara Snyder.
Now, I need to panickingly check if they are producers.
Zack Snyder's wife. Deborah!
Whoops.
Sorry, Deborah Snyder, apologise.
Okay, I was also wrong, if it makes you feel any better. There's someone who's a consulting producer called Kira Snyder, who I don't think is any relation to the Snyders.
Right, okay, so we can't simply get away from the Snyders.
It was produced by A. Snyder. Maybe not
Snyder.
The Snyder.
Not the Snyders.
I'm taking it. You know what? That's a connection.
That's a SnyderVerse connection. They're all related somewhere, aren't they? That's how like surnames work. Far-flung
Absolutely,
relatives.
yes.
55th cousins, that kind of thing.
Anyway, have we even said what we're doing? We're doing the Penguin TV show.
We are doing the Penguin TV show set in the Batman Robot Bat universe.
Set, I think, basically immediately after the Batman.
Basically days or weeks after, yeah.
Yeah. Which is weird. The show's set in 2022.
Crazy. No mask.
Not that
No
it
masks.
matters in the Batman universe, because it's kind of like this timeless phase of the world anyway, in that classic The Batman style.
Classic the Batman style where they have smartphones but also everything looks like it's from like the animated series in the 90s.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And John Turturro is Mark Strong.
If you're going to replace John Turturro, you could do worse.
Yeah, no, so I agree, right? But sometimes I like see actors show up and I'm like, oh, this is a TV show.
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense? You get like film actors and then you get TV actors and like, oh, there's a lot of TV people in this.
Mark Strong's a film actor.
You know, I know he is, but like he's currently in that Doom Prophecy thing as well. TV
This
show.
isn't even Mark Strong's first DC role.
No, it isn't. He's from Shazam.
He's Dr. Evil Man in Shazam.
Dr. Evil, yes. He's even got the scar down the eye. But I sometimes when people show up, I'm like, TV. And Mark Strong, just because he's replacing John Turturro, I was like, TV. It's a shame. Not his fault. And then Johnny, the guy, the Falcone enforcer, second in command
Johnny
guy.
Vitti? Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny V, who's from like House of Cards. He's in a lot of stuff. He's a great actor, but also whenever he shows up, I'm like, TV. Though he was in Batman vs Superman, he kept trying to take Lois to the ball game.
That's true. Yes, he works in the office.
Yeah, he works in the Daily Planet. Yeah, he works for Lawrence Fishburne.
My goodness, so many connections.
So many connections. They're hiring in Warner Brothers in-house. This is an in-house show.
Almost every episode there was an actor who showed up in this and I went, oh my goodness, you're in this?
Yeah. Hello, Clancy Brown.
Hello, Clancy Brown. What are you doing playing a mobster?
Hello, Mr. Krabs. I actually thought he was a great casting for Salvatore Maroni.
Oh no, he's great, yeah. And his wife is that lady who's in everything.
She's in every video game ever.
She's in every video game. She's in Star Trek.
She's in lots of video games and TVs, not quite films.
Yeah, she has a long name, and I can't remember what it is.
No, nor can I. She's in Assassin's Creed multiple times. She's in Destiny.
She is. Good stuff.
Good for her. Good for her. 8 episodes this was, Kyle, right?
8 episodes. And
Amazing restraint to not go, hey, remember this?
Oh, are you talking to me or are you talking to the show?
I'm talking to the show.
Okay.
Like, the show doesn't ever go, hey, remember the, like...
I think there's quite a lot of ties to the Batman in the show.
Yeah, there is quite a lot of ties to the events of the film, but they never say, like, hey, that frick with the cape that's
true, they
ruined all our
don't
plans.
mention Batman ever in the show, which is kind of weird. There's definitely a few events in this show where you're like, I think Batman would show up to investigate this.
I think given his relationship with the Falcone family, it means that he extra should be somewhat aware of what's happening here.
Yeah, the 2 big ones are the episode where, I guess we're getting into spoilers, right? Who cares?
Yeah.
Let's just say, I love this show. I think you should watch it. There we go.
Oh, right. I haven't given my thoughts.
Do you want to give your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll give my thoughts. I think this show is very well produced and very crafted by talented people. I, however, do not think this is like the Andor of DC or anything like that. It's a show no one was asking for. That's a similarity to Andor, and it's well crafted. I think the story is just kind of a bit weak, though. I'm going to be honest with you, Kyle.
Wow,
I think it's just.
I totally disagree with you.
I think that the characters are really good, and that carries the show. And I think that the plot of Oswald Cobblepot wanting to become the crime kingpin of Gotham is done much more effectively in Gotham.
Interesting. Okay.
I think that this is just shit happens, and then people just let people live because then the show would be over. And just I find it quite frustrating because shit just doesn't happen, and then something big happens, and then kind of nothing really happens again until it does. But the show spends a lot of time with the characters and fleshing out the characters, and that's all fine and great. I like a lot of the characters in the show. I just wish the story done a lot more.
I'm going to need you to provide some examples of what you're talking about as we go along, because I can't even think of what you're referencing.
I mean, I can't reference absence of story. Nothing's happening. I can talk about character time. I could go in depth about the time it spends with the characters. But it's not pushing the plot along, is it?
We seem to have a fundamental misconception here, because I can't even think of the absence that you're talking about. To me, there's loads of plot stuff happens in the show. There's tons of plot.
And the central crux of pushing Oswald Cobblepot forward, I don't think there's much. I think Sophia has a whole plot with trying to overthrow the family and take over, but that gets resolved before the end of the show. And then
the entire show is Oswald. First scene in the show, he shoots what's his name?
Sophia's brother.
Sophia's brother, something Cartwright.
Yes.
Or something Falcone.
Something Falcone. Shock horror, it's a Falcone.
Yeah. He's the new head of the crime family, and Oz shoots him because he laughs at him. Great scene, by the way.
Yeah, no, I think the first episode's really strong.
It's a great opening to the show, because he shoots him and he goes, fuck.
Yeah, but...
And then the rest of the show is him trying to weasel his way out of doing that.
Yes, no, I understand that he's like he's a snake oil salesman, basically, and he can promise people the world to talk his way out of a room with no doors, right? Like, I get it. Like, that's all character stuff, right?
Well, yeah, but you're also watching him scheme and adapt, and, like, this thing comes up, so now I have to kill this guy, and then I can plant the knife on this guy. There's all this, like, this cool, like, criminal mastermind stuff going on in this show.
Yeah, but, like... I'm wanting some sort of push here. Like, where's the, okay, I have taken out this person, now I'm 3 steps closer to achieving dominance over the city. It's just kind of like they keep capturing each other but never killing each other, then getting away off the skin of your teeth, even though you totally should have just died. And then that's going to happen again for another 8 episodes, and that's the show. And then there's, like I say, there's lots of other stuff that's happening as well. Like, Sophia's like trying to eliminate her family to become the head of the Falcone crime family, and she does achieve that. I think she has actually a much clearer progression in the show, but that happens before the end of the show. And then I feel like she's just angry and on a revenge plot. There's artistic moments of her burning down the family house. It's all very well constructed. I just think the story's lacking.
Well, look, here's the thing with Sophia. Sophia is doing the Joker much better than the Joker did it. Well, okay, I mean, first of all, the Joker's terrible, so anything's doing the Joker better. But her whole deal is she was screwed over by the system, right? That's basically what's supposed.
She
we're
was
supposed
screwed
to
over
take
by
from
her
Arthur
family.
Fleck and the Joker. She was screwed over by her family, but then she went into Arkham, and
They're all paid
like,
off
the whole
by her
place was-
family.
They're all paid off and corrupt, but basically, I mean, it's not as if Arkham was doing good even if they weren't paid off, right? Did you see all the other people in there?
The point of Joker is it's an apathetic system that isn't really wielding malice towards him, it's just they don't care. These people actively are trying to get Sophia down. They are planting her to fail. They are maliciously and deliberately going to get her. That's not Joker at all. This is corruption. I think this is a lot more comic booky than Joker.
I agree, and I think that's a good thing.
I'm not speaking down to it. No, I don't mean it to sound like that. Like I say, I think actually Sophia's story might be some of the strongest stuff in the show. But it's nothing like Joker. That's all I'm saying.
I think, like, sure, it's about corruption, but you can also view the Falcone, as the show does, as like the old system. It's crime, but it's organised crime, and it's been around for a long time. It's a part of the system at this point. That was kind of the deal with the Batman as well. It's like everyone in the city works for Carmine Falcone, right?
Yep, that's true. Absolutely true.
Like, yes, they are doing crime, but they also are the system.
Yep, they're doing crime, and they're also running businesses that people are using to buy groceries. Like, they are the city.
Yeah, so you say that she kills her family and then she doesn't really do anything. I think that's kind of part of her story, though, is she does it and it doesn't actually help because, like, that was not her problem, and she doesn't necessarily even want to be a criminal mastermind anymore. She thought that would bring her some sort of peace and happiness, but it doesn't.
Yep.
So by the end of the show, she's just planning to leave.
Yep, I think that's entirely true, but they're still giving her quite a lot of screen time in that time, and she's doing nothing with it. It's just do a little bit of something instead of just being angry and get me Oswald Cobblepot. Considering she had a very strong first 6 episodes, whatever it was, or 5 episodes, but she serves her purpose in terms of taking down the Falcones, and she's been in cahoots with Oswald. Oswald uses her to get the Bliss drug and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then her usefulness to the plot kind of just becomes something to get in Cobblepot's way. Even though you've still got Maroni kicking about for a couple episodes crossing over with this. I just think maybe she should have something of a story conclusion, or indeed stretch out her conclusion for a little bit longer. But it just tells a very good and cohesive story with her. And then nothing. It doesn't really get into... I wanted the show to kind of go a bit more into maybe, okay, well, here's actually what it's like managing this crime family, and is this actually what you want? Which you could say, oh, taking over the family done nothing for her. But why didn't it do anything for her, Kyle? The show does nothing with it. It's just she's achieved her goal, and that's it. I don't think the show shows you that, oh, getting everything you want actually isn't all it's cracked up to be.
I think it shows that in the scenes that we have with her, where she doesn't look very contented with what's going on.
But she's not doing anything with it. There's no scenes of her sitting down going, okay, here's your accounts, here's your biz, here's how much debt we're in, here's the areas that we're having gangland violence in. It's just, I now own the...
You're complaining
the
about lack of plot, but what you're saying now is you want more boring admin scenes.
No. Because there is that would be something, Kyle. I don't think there's anything. She just gets it and then goes, I'll guess I'll be on hold now. I guess she kidnaps Oswald's mum. I guess.
Yeah.
That happens. And I don't want to sound like I'm climbing the hill of saying I dislike this show. I definitely didn't dislike it. I just found the hype and everything, because I know you were later than me coming to it, but everyone was like, we can't wait, this show's cooking. I found it a struggle to binge. Maybe I should have watched it weekly, maybe my opinion on it would be different, but I just felt like I was...
binged it and I loved it.
Oh, yes, you did, that's true. I just felt the show was spinning mud a couple of times. You know,
I never had this issue. I don't know.
Listen, maybe it's
I was
just different
engaged the
tastes.
entire time.
Yeah. Like I say, the character stuff's all pretty good. A lot of my notes here are character focused. A lot of it. I actually don't talk about the plot a lot in my notes at all. A lot of it's character stuff. I think the character stuff is the strongest element of this show. And which I'm happy to talk to you about in great detail, because I don't want to be a Debbie Downer.
This show is definitely driven by 2 characters. That's Sophia Falcone, or Sophia Gigante, and Oswald. And both of them are, like, just very strong characters.
Yes, they are. They're very strong characters.
Because this is like a character study basically on Oswald, and how the more you get into the show, the more you realise, well, this guy is just a sociopath.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the show does a really great job of that, of like, they have scenes, especially with him and Victor, where you're like, okay, maybe he like genuinely cares about this kid and genuinely believes all this sort of class stuff he's talking about, how like, oh, the big guy, they have all over us, and he gives these big speeches about all that stuff, right?
Yep.
And you're like, okay, well, he's clearly an asshole, but maybe he does believe in this stuff. And then by the end of the show, you're like, nah, he doesn't. He's just a sociopath. He's just saying all this shit to get what he wants.
Yeah, I mean, even at the end, when he goes into the hospital room that his mum's in, he's like gloating at the TV. He's like, hey, they bought all these lies that I told them. Look where I am now.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, I think maybe he believes it to a certain degree, but like, he believes it until it fulfills the purposes. Then he's like, yeah, that might be true, but I actually don't care about it.
Yeah, no, this is like the scene where, I don't know, there's lots of good scenes, right? But the scene where he's tied up with his mum, and he's just going to let them cut her finger off because he doesn't want to say what he did, because he's just a selfish asshole.
And at the moment where she's like, I already know what you did, it like really throws him. He's like, oh, what do I say now, actually? Because
at the end of the day, he's just a mama's boy.
He's just a mama's boy. Every single note I have to do with the mum from the first maybe 7 episodes is, this is really sad and it's making me depressed.
Dementia terrifies me, Nathan.
Well, yes. It definitely terrifies me as well. I think it's probably one of the scariest illnesses that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
But every scene is just this woman that's sort of sometimes lucid, sometimes not, and Oswald caring on the surface, but then kind of being absent.
He cares in like a very selfish way.
Yeah, he cares to like, you're my mother and you comfort me, and that's where it ends.
Yes.
But then, like, he also promises his mum all these things as a kid. And he tries to keep his word. To what end, I don't know. Well,
it's kind of like his greed also is, like, a part of, like, wanting his mum all to himself, right?
Yeah.
And that's just sort of, he's never grown out of that phase.
Yeah. Yeah,
Colin Farrell, by the way, what a guy to do this show. And, like, prosthetics the entire time.
Yeah.
Apparently he had to sit in prosthetics chair for like 3 hours every day for filming.
Yeah, he said he hated it.
I'm sure he did, but props to him, because the makeup looks great in this show.
And he's talking about how like he's going to be in Batman 2, and then there's a plan for him to be like the main villain of Batman 3.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like, and there's going to be a Penguin season 2 probably, I imagine, after Batman 2's come out.
Mm-hmm.
And Penguin's just going to be like the sub-show, the spin-off sub-show that runs with the franchise.
It's a strange universe they're conducting. Like, do you think they're ever going to get into like the more supernatural stuff in this verse? Like,
no.
What are our limits on the Batman villains that'll show up in this series?
I don't think we won't get a traditional Clayface, though I have heard talk of Clayface.
Okay.
But we just won't get a supernatural clay monster, you know?
Not going to get any poison ivies.
We could, but they would be some sort of, they live with poison.
Eco-terrorist type.
Yeah, they live with poison frogs, and they put them into glass vials and inject them into people, that kind of thing.
Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze, we could totally get a Mr. Freeze. Just what about Nick? I was thinking like you could get like a Firefly, you know? Mm-hmm. That's fine. I think the Firefly we were getting for the Batgirl movie wasn't at all paranormal. Like, the character isn't either, but like, that's the kind of the things that I'm talking about that you could do. A Scarecrow, despite being based in pig science, I don't think that we're ever going to actually get a Scarecrow, because I think that's a bit too silly, maybe.
I guess I'm thinking villains that they didn't do in The Dark Knight, right?
Yeah.
Because they did Scarecrow in Batman Begins.
Yeah, they did.
Riddler was really the big one that they hadn't done in a movie in a while.
Yeah,
so.
I know. See, I keep thinking about it. It's like it's crazy they committed to a Riddler villain, and they pulled it off so well.
Well, it was a very weird take on the Riddler, so whoever it is next will be a weird take as well. We're getting way off topic of the show here.
Yeah, I know. This is something we should have done in the Batman.
But I will say, like, I think this show still feels very comic booky, even though it's not people will say, oh, it's barely a comic book show. I think in terms of like the way things are visually framed, and this version of Gotham City still very much feels like the Batman, and this sort of the way you see it, and the statues on the bridges and all this stuff.
Yeah, do you think that? Because I think there's some massive like shots of like Gotham's version of Times Square in the Batman that's just not in this.
Well, we're spending more times on like the outskirts of Gotham this time.
I guess. I think it's all color graded identically.
Well, just like, I was thinking too, I think it's like episode 7, Oswald starts wearing this costume where he's got like the shirt and the waistcoat and then a big sort of fur coat over it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a very like penguin-y look. It's very evocative of the penguin without committing to the whole tailcoat thing. I still look at that outfit and I'm like, that's a penguin look right there.
Yeah. And by the way, Colin Farrell's waddle in this.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if they've turned it up from the Batman, because I don't really remember it in the Batman. I just thought he walked with a limp.
Mm-hmm.
But in this, he's full on like shoulder bobbing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's an interesting note you've been given there. I wonder if that's like something added, or if that was always the case in the Batman and I just didn't notice it. I think I've watched the Batman twice, and he's very good in the Batman, but watching this I'm like, there's no way you met a man in a mask with a black cape. There's no way. I wouldn't be able to stop talking about it if I had done that. Like, this show doesn't look like a world where the Batman's running around.
I honestly think if Batman had shown up at any point in the show, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, no, yeah, but that's only because I know this is a world where Batman actually exists in.
I think also, even though he's not in it, I think Sophia Falcone feels like a Batman villain, especially when she starts wearing all like the elaborate dresses and stuff towards the end of the show.
Yes,
She has like the black cocktail dress with the red scarf, and like that's a comic book look right there.
Yeah, she looks like the kind of person that would like take over Arkham Asylum. Like she would be sitting in the governor's office, you know? And Batman's got to like fight his way through all their goons.
Yeah, she wouldn't be like a villain that Batman punches, but she would be the head of a bunch of goons.
Did we ever see the psychiatrist that falls in love with her, kind of?
Yes, Dr. Rush.
Right, we got his name. Okay, I was going to say, what happens if he turns out to be like a Hugo Strange? Okay.
I mean, he is a weirdo.
Yeah, exactly, right? He is a weirdo. Maybe he has a secret name.
I think before the show, people were theorizing that he was going to be Scarecrow, but I don't think that's the direction they're going with him.
After the show finished, people were like, oh, in such and such's office, people think they can see a Scarecrow mask, and people use like, red highlighters to outline where they think they see it on the desk. I was like, I don't see that. I think you're insane.
I don't think this is that kind of show.
No. Now, that was something to Marvel.
Yeah. This show, it's the characters in the show are the characters in the show. We're not setting up anything else here, other than the little tease of Catwoman at the end, I guess.
Which I completely forgot that, of course, she would be related to Sophia.
I was thinking that halfway through the show. It's like, wasn't it a whole plot point that she was Carmine's daughter?
Yeah, in the film, that was an entire plot point. Yeah, and it just, where's she not taking interest in any of this? I suppose they both got on their motorbikes and went their separate ways.
The whole Hangman thing, too. Is it not a plot point in that movie that Carmine killed Selena Kyle's mum as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
John Turturro said he wasn't in this because there was some like plots about violence against women in this that he didn't agree with. I was like, It sounds consistent with the role you played in the Batman, to be honest.
I enjoy that Carmine Falcone always wears those red-tinted glasses for some reason.
Yeah,
it's just his look.
It's a very cool look. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
John Turturro was cast so well in the film, and I just don't see Mark Strong at all.
I liked Mark Strong. I think he did an okay job.
An okay job. An okay job. John Turturro blew the doors off it in the Batman. I think he would have done amazing in this. Because I think he just sounds so sinister when he talks. Like, he almost sounds helpless. But, like... Mm-hmm. He can make stuff happen. He doesn't need to elaborate on it.
John Turturro is a more traditional mobster, I guess.
Yeah, I think Mark
Strong is a more traditional mobster, is what I meant
Mark
to say.
Strong sounds like he will beat you with his fist right there and then, which is like outwardly violent. I like John Turturro's kind of, we don't need to talk about it. We know what's going to happen here. You know, the kind of calmness about him. I don't think Mark Strong's in calm at all. You know, just preferences, different strokes for different folks. You know. But yeah, no, Sophia definitely had that comic book vibe about her.
Oh yeah, I mean, the standout episode for me is definitely episode 4, which is her backstory episode.
How do you pronounce episode 4?
I'm looking at it written down. Centani,
I think, yeah. I wasn't sure.
I don't know what it means. I assume it means something.
Yeah.
It might mean century. Because she's in there for 10, not century, or like whatever decades. Like, it might mean 10 years.
She's not in there for... It's possible.
I mean, her whole deal is that she was in Arkham for 10 years, so...
It's possible, yeah. Was that 10 years she was in there for? I missed that.
Yeah. Yeah, they mentioned that several times. She was in Arkham for 10 years.
Completely slipped through my ears.
The episode montages the first 6 months, but then after that she stays there for another 10 years.
Crazy. I thought this happened, like, this was happening kind of maybe during the first film, you know?
Oh no, this all happened ages ago, yeah.
This
all happened in the year 2012, Nathan.
She's playing Halo 4.
Uh-huh, oh yeah. Desmond Miles is saving the world right now.
I think this show really does the best job with Sophia than any other character in terms of fleshing out her back, because when she's like going to like the women's victims conferences and stuff, like she seems like she doesn't seem crazy. Like the actor who's playing Sophia, I can't remember her name. Do you have the name noted?
I do not have the name in front of me. She's very good in this, though.
Good. I think she does such a good job acting like a normal, caring person, and then like a traumatized gangster's daughter, and then just an insane person in her own right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But Carmine wants her to run the family. That's kind of her setup, and then because maybe she knows too much about her dad's violence against women.
Well, she figures out that her dad killed her mum.
Yes, that too. But then, why would Carmine just not be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, uh-huh. Instead he's like, gotta send her away. That's not a fault of the show. I'm just thinking in the world, you know? What's up with Carmine?
I guess it's like it's like a reputation thing, isn't it?
He doesn't want people to think that he kills women.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's something kind of more sleazy about it than being a regular mobster. It's like, oh, I strangle women behind the scenes, you know?
I found it pretty clear early on in that episode, though, that Carmine killed Sophia's mother. The second you see her dying, I was like, yeah.
Well. I don't think it's supposed to be a mystery.
Yeah. No, I suppose not. My first note of that episode is, Sophia found out who killed her brother.
Yes, well.
That's where things kind of go sideways.
Well, that also gets into the third main character who we haven't mentioned much yet, which is Victor.
My favourite character in the show.
I can't tell if that's sarcastic or not.
No, I love Victor. I think he's great. I think he really goes on a journey. He goes on like an anti-hero's journey. Yeah,
he goes on like the reverse of a good character arc. He just gets worse.
Like if Batman found him, he could become a Robin. You know?
Oh yeah, I think people were theorizing as the show was going on that he was going to become Robin. Obviously, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I was completely out of that discourse at all. I actually never had any of this show spoiled for me.
No, me neither. I was just reading some stuff after I finished it.
No, I've not read any of that. But yeah, I feel this character could totally have been a Robin if he was found by Batman. But no, he was found by the Penguin.
Yes.
And he should have got on that bus.
Should have got on that bus with his cute girlfriend.
I have this noted a couple of times.
So do I.
Vic.
Every time something bad happens to Victor, I'm like, you should have got on that bus, Victor. The show plays with you because that's obviously what you as the audience want for Victor. You're like, no, Victor, don't stick with Oswald. He's going to get you killed. Yeah. Or worse.
Yeah. What's the girl's name again? Grace?
Gianna, something like that.
Yeah. I haven't noted them somewhere. I just can't remember what episode. But yeah, she's a really nice girl.
Yeah, and I think this show does a better job of conveying how bad that flooding was than the Batman did. Because in the Batman, you just sort of see some streets with some water in it.
Well, yeah, but I think you understand that it's bad. You don't get to be in the trenches, as it were.
Yeah, you don't linger on it as like a big deal because Batman's busy punching some
You're going
snipers
to Madison Square Garden or whatever the Gotham City equivalent is to get with the mayor, and it's the highest point of the city, and it's a designated evacuation point. And you're watching that flood. But if the designated evacuation site floods, you know that it must be a whole lot worse in the other areas, right?
That's true.
Victor is from those other areas. Though, which is weird. I don't think this show ever really lingers on the fact that...
Yeah, the geography of where exactly this wall is unclear. Also, like, how did they unflood it?
The flood walls have been, like, storing up like a dam. And then when the dam bursts, the water kind of filters itself to where it's supposed to be.
That defies the point of a flood wall.
Yeah, I know. I know. maybe it's more of a dam.
In order for his town to be not underwater anymore, they'd have to rebuild the wall and then pump out all of the water.
Yeah. Is this? I feel like this show's supposed... I would have noted it down and I haven't, so maybe I'm just wrong. I feel like this show's maybe like 6 months later.
Something like that. They've definitely started some of the repair work, but I think in a lot of the background shots in the show, there's still like rubble everywhere. There's
Yeah.
still,
So
like, things are still pretty messed up.
Vic's girlfriend is like fed up of living in basically
A FEMA camp.
a FEMA camp. Yeah, FEMA, thank you.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to California, I can start my life again, you should come with me. She never really cares about money or riches. I think she just wants to just start her life in general, as opposed to having nothing in Gotham. Gotham's just a place she grew up. She has no sentimental value to the place anymore because her family are gone. It's just
also, it
Victor.
sucks. It seems like a terrible place to live in general.
Yeah, right. But like, she's just ready to go. There's nothing holding her back. She has no ties, and Victor's open to it.
Mm-hmm.
But then, arbitrarily, after arriving at the bus station, decides I can't leave Oswald because actually I like this life.
Yeah, it's not so much arbitrary. Oswald kind of appeals to his, like, oh, you want something bigger, yeah, blah, 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 you know? Like, also they have the scene in the restaurant, which I really like, where he's like, he's got a stutter. Victor has a stutter. Yeah, look, make them wait. And it's like, he's sort of a bonding with Victor on their shared sort of, like, disabilities that people look down on. And Oswald says, nah, fuck him.
Yeah, don't let them define you. Like, you make them.
There's moments of Oswald being a good mentor to Victor, which kind of like muddles things, you know? And yeah, so Victor is seduced to the dark side is what happens.
He is. He ends up becoming Oswald's driver. He becomes Frances, Oswald's mother's visitor a lot.
Sort of like caretaker.
Yeah. My one good note for Oswald's mum is when, after Oswald threatens a councilman to get the city's power directed back to the poor areas of the city. Good guy Oz, by the way, right, for doing that.
Helps him park. He also helps him with his parking. He noted that, which is just a funny little note. You got more space than you think. Come on.
Yeah, I noted that as well. We get a electricity restore jump scare because I got a little jolt when that happened. I was like, oh my god, the power's back. But
well, this becomes one of the things that like Victor really is like, oh man, Oz, you got the power back on. No one else did that.
I mean, that's a real like people's hero kind of thing, right?
It is, but also it was mostly so he could keep his drug operation going. You know, doesn't tell Victor that, but that's the main reason he did it.
Yes, but I think the show does have commentary about maybe, you know, watch who you think your heroes
for sure
are.
It does.
You know,
yeah. That's definitely a running theme in this show. It's like, just because Oz seems like he's doing good stuff and he has this thing where he wants a parade in his honor and he wants to be a man of the people and all this, it's like that doesn't mean that's actually who he is, though.
Like, he's fundamentally corrupt, you know? Which isn't like, that's supposed to be like who, oh, what's his name? The big gangster everyone talks about from the 20s who's actually called Scarface.
Oh.
Al Capone.
The one? Al Capone.
Yeah. Like, he done like all this public outreach stuff. This was back in a time where gangsters were kind of publicly well known and almost like celebrities, but the police could never
which
frame
is something
this
show plays into as well, because they have the news reporting on who's going to be the next head of the crime family.
Yeah, right. This is a time where gangsters are very much openly appreciated, and they do like outreach to the public, maybe feeding the poor and stuff, but they're still committing mass crimes. And then, you know, it might be stuff like after the events of the Penguin, when he eventually has his downfall, which this is about his rise, but watch till we do a breakdown for him. That'll when they kind of go underground again, you know?
Yeah. This show does not have very many kind things to say about organised crime.
No, it does not. But to keep back to my note about Victor, it's when the electricity comes back on, he has a little dance with Frances. They have a little dance, and that's nice. I was like, oh, she's actually happy for once. She's never happy. She's a scared old lady.
She's a great character, though.
I think
in terms of
always,
characters in the show.
Every time I see like we're doing the Penguin story, and here's Oswald's mum that you see in like Gotham and stuff, I'm like, oh, this is really sad. This is a lady that just loves her son, but like the son doesn't really.
Or does she?
But like the son doesn't really care. Kinda cares because it's his mum, but doesn't really care. And she's clearly suffering, and she's a bit isolated, and she's left alone, and that's all she is. And I'm just, that just makes me sad, Kyle.
I mean, I think the reveal in episode 8, I think at the start of the final episode, that she knew the whole time that Oz killed their sons.
Yeah.
It recontextualizes their whole relationship, and I think that's cool.
I had a feeling that she knew before that reveal happened. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but...
I mean, yeah, their relationship is weird, too, because the first time you see her, she's like, did you kill that fucker? And he says yes, and she's like, good, kill more.
Yeah, right? But there's just when they see the flashbacks and they're like, hey, come to the my brothers went to the movies and stuff. By the way, why the hell did he do that? I know.
Because he's
I know.
a sociopath.
He's sociopathically selfish. It just felt like a massive overcorrection for climbing down some stairs, Like, why did he even attempt to come down? He should have just shut the door on them in the first place. No, he went down to play with them and then decided, no,
That's
I'm
the
going to
thing
lock them in.
that's the thing with Oswald, though, throughout the whole show, is he just sort of latches onto opportunities as they come. He doesn't really plan that far ahead. He just sort of does stuff moment after moment. So he took that moment, he's like, I could kill my brothers here. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think when he closed that door he was planning to kill them. He just realised when it was raining, he was like, I could save them, but nah.
It's such an eerie scene, though. It's such an eerie scene.
Oh, it's great, yeah. He's sat on the chair and he's just smiling casually, knowing that his brothers are drowning.
Yeah, exactly, right? You keep cutting back to the door and then the screams have stopped.
I love to. I remember this because I was binge watching it. The first time they go down to the sewers, there's a little lingering shot on that door, and Oswald kind of looks at it for a moment, but you don't have the context as a viewer yet.
Oh, that's good.
For what that means.
I never noticed that. That's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Very good. Thumbs up for that one. But yeah, so when the reveal happens that, I know you killed your brothers, I was like, I feel like the show hasn't quite stated this already, but like, I've picked up enough context clues to know that she knew. She's just like, what movie did they go see? What time did they go see it? And they go pick them up and it's raining and she never gets them and then she becomes horribly depressed.
I think that's a good twist, though. And a good twist should be one that you can theoretically figure out before it's revealed.
Yeah.
We're in this age now where a twist has to be this massive surprise that no one can see coming.
We are, that's true.
A twist should make narrative sense.
A twist should make narrative sense. I just prefer it when I haven't already guessed it. That's a selfish thing. Because I tell you what, that twist does have the reaction from Oswald, like that does do character stuff there, Like, oh, he's kind of stunned, he's caught out in this lie in front of Sophia, in front of his mother, in front of everyone. The only person not there to be caught out by it is Victor, really.
Yes, which is how Victor can keep maintaining that he's a good hero man.
Yeah, Victor gets to give the rousing power to the people speeches to other gangsters.
Yes, and you think it doesn't work, but he's not appealing to the mob bosses, he's appealing to the underlings.
I was convinced when the underling called him later to be like, hey, Sophia's put a hit out in Oz, where are you? Like, it was like a ruse to get Oz. Like, I didn't believe for a second that he was actually coming to help, because that gut punch he gives Victor, and it's like, know your place, you're going to catch a bullet. Like, it seemed to me pretty genuine. I was kind of shocked when,
I mean, when he did that, he sort of crouched down. I didn't take that as, like, a threat. It was more sort of like, this isn't going to work right now, kid, but, doesn't mean you're wrong.
Oh, see, I took it as that's not how things work, kid.
I see. I figured they were going to do this killing all the underlings, kill all the bosses thing from the moment Oz gives his big speech. Because when he gives his big speech, I think he calls it like the Gold Summit and he throws everyone a beer, right?
Yeah.
And he gives this whole speech. He's not really appealing to the bosses, he's appealing to the underlings in that scene. And that, I thought they were going to show all the underlings in that scene, to be honest.
You thought they were going to show all the mob bosses, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I thought they were all going to shoot the bosses in that scene, but it just happens a bit later, that's all.
Oh, see, I thought that he was trying to build some sort of grand coalition where there's all these Templar masters, and he wants to become like the Templar Grandmaster, but he needs to take out arguably who these other jousters for Grandmaster would be, the Maronis and the Falcons, or the
Well, that's the thing, right? That is what Oswald is doing, and then when it turns out that he appealed more to the underlings, he just goes with that, because that's what he does. He just goes with whatever's working.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Because this is the other thing with his mother, because during this whole event, his mum ends up having a stroke and ends up in a vegetative state, right? And Oz is just like, oh, this is perfect. Now I can just pretend that she still loves me.
Well, I thought he was really devastated by it. Like, he was...
He isn't, because there was a scene earlier where she says, like, I don't want to end up like that. Please kill me when that happens, basically.
Yeah.
And he agrees to do it, and then when it happens, he just doesn't do it.
I mean...
Because...
I wouldn't do it, I would struggle to come to terms with that. I mean, I do think that he benefits by her not really being able to have an opinion on things that he says. Mm-hmm. I think you're reading that now he can just say what he likes and, like, he never gets to have any pushback on it, but still maintaining his mother's love. It's a valid reading of it.
I think that's because you see the end of the shot and he has her propped up in the penthouse in front of a window and he says, see, just like you always wanted, and you see a tear roll out of her eye, and it's like, this is a horrific fate for his mother.
Yeah.
But Oz doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I actually thought that moment was quite horrific, actually, when she's just sitting in this echo, because you can hear his footsteps. It's this big echoey room where you can see the piping in the roof. Like, it's not really furnished. It's got a lamp on. There's no TV. Her TV is just a penthouse window where you can see nothing in detail, and it is just like an attic, really. You know, there's no one above you, but. You know,
and then he goes down to dance with his girlfriend, who's now dressed like his mum.
Yeah, right. I was like, wait, is the young mum, like, is this a ghost?
No, it's his girlfriend from previous episodes.
Yeah, I remember, like, he invites a bunch of, like, are they sex workers or something to, like, his apartment, like, the second episode. That was the episode I had a really hard time. Even in my notes, I'm like, I'm not following this. I don't know what's happening. I'm bored. And I keep zoning in and out, like...
I think you were just in a bad headspace when you were watching the show or something.
I know.
Episode 2 was good.
It took me 3 days to watch the whole thing. And I don't think I was in a bad headspace today when I watched the last 2 episodes. Like, you know, it's not a bad show. It's just... I didn't find the plot all that compelling. I always zoned in when there was character stuff happening. And I was like, oh, right, the plot. What's happening? I'm not quite into this. I feel like it's just not... It's not building. Anyway, sorry, I've spoke about that already. I don't need to go back into that. But yeah, so, and it ends on a shot of him dancing out the window, and you can see his mother in the penthouse up the stairs, and the bat signal shining, because this is a Batman show.
Well, he said, it's a little clever irony, because he says there's no one who can get in your way now, and then the bat signal shows up, and it's like, a little foreshadowing, the Batman's still out there, you know, your one biggest threat is left.
You think Harvey Dent's going to show up in this?
I think Harvey Dent would make a lot of sense to show up in this, like a pre-Two-Face Harvey Dent.
I think we'll see a Two-Face Harvey Dent.
Of course. You don't do Harvey Dent and then not do Two-Face unless you're that one movie that had Harvey Dent in it.
The Batman. Or sorry, just Batman.
When it was D. Bradley Baker, he shows up. Not D. Bradley
Billy
Baker.
D. Williams.
Billy D. Williams.
Yes.
I knew I had a D in there somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, then
we should get D. Bradley Baker to be the Two-Face. Why not?
They'll recast you to be Tommy Lee Jones 2 movies later.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yeah, Two-Face is like the most obvious person to put into this like the Batman universe, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm really curious to see what a Two-Face would look like now, because the last Two-Face we really got that became full-on Two-Face was like the Dark Knight.
Yes. I imagine we'll just get like a burned up face similar to that, probably.
Do you think so? It's weird because in many ways this universe is more comic booky than the Dark Knight, but also given their depiction of the Riddler, I feel like they would do something else to his face that isn't...
I think they would commit to... You can't do Two-Face without doing the Two-Face bit,
I think they would do the Two-Face, but I'm wondering what the design would be, which is just me indulging in a circular conversation because we're not going to know until they do it. Harvey Dent would make perfect sense, I agree.
We didn't mention this also in the final episode, Oz kills Victor. That's the end of Victor's story.
I hated this. I mean, it's like...
you see it coming like from the beginning of the show.
It's tragically... I kind of thought maybe this character is going to go on a journey here, right? We're going to go, this was Victor from season 1, look at him now. He's going to be in the Batman movie as some god-awful henchman the Batman has a full-on fist fight with. He becomes like the Penguin's full enforcer.
Uh-huh.
Like someone so corrupted by the elements of Gotham, and we get to see that journey. But no, Penguin's like, oh, you're too pure and good for this world, kid. Strangle.
Uh-huh.
Which is so blunt and so wasteful. I think creatively it's wasteful, but I also think that in world it's wasteful as well, because I think he could have done a lot of good things, a lot of useful things with Victor.
I think he recognised, this is it, the Penguin's a sociopath, and Victor is like his last connection to anything he even remotely cares about. So... yeah. Like, he just has nothing to worry about anymore.
Crazy how his girlfriend has no character development.
She does, I think.
Yeah.
There's a really great scene between her and Sophia, where Sophia goes to visit her, and she's, like, out of all the makeup and stuff, and she thinks Sophia's gonna kill her, and then they have this conversation about, like, being women in this world and all that. I think it's a good scene.
Yeah, but it does nothing. It's just, it felt too few and far between. Like, Victor feels like more of a romantic partner than she does, you know?
Well, that's the thing with her relationship with Penguin too, is I don't get the impression that she loves Penguin at all. She's siding with Penguin because Penguin's going places, you know? She's an up-and-comer.
On the up and up, yeah.
And they're both basically using each other in that relationship.
What does he get out of it?
He gets someone to be his mummy.
Okay.
That's not even me making a joke. That's explicit at the end of the
that
show.
is explicit at the end of the show. Yeah, I know, you're right. I'm laughing because you're right.
Penguin does some very fucked up things in the show, by the way. Remember when he burns those people alive?
He burns...
Clancy burns family alive.
Yeah, Maroney. No, yeah, Maroney?
Yes, Maroney.
Yeah,
the Falcones and the Maronis.
Yeah, he burnt...
The Falcone and the Maroni, because they couldn't name them something more different.
They're Italian. He burns the son alive coming out of the van because he's covered in dripping gasoline.
Yeah.
And then the wife hugs him because it's a prisoner exchange, a prisoner for drugs exchange.
Yes.
And then he just lights the trail of gasoline and she just won't let go and burns with it. It's really horrific. Really I tell you what this show does well, right?
Mm-hmm.
I struggle with like the SnyderVerse where they can't commit to their villains being villains because they're the heroes.
Yeah, it's a bunch of anti-heroes who are basically just heroes.
Yeah, that's like what Thunderbolts was going to do, right? Which is fine. But this really is like, when we see these people again in the Batman, you know what they've done.
Oh yeah, this show is not pretending that Oz is a good guy.
Yeah.
I think it drums out slightly more sympathy with Sophia because of her backstory. But yeah, Oz is just a prick.
Yeah. I mean, I think that even to an extent, like, that's Sophia's sympathy I really struggle with because when she gasses the whole family, it's maybe sound quite cruel, but she lets the child live and then badmouths the mum and gets her sent to an orphanage.
Yes, I think that scene's good too when she goes to the orphanage because she basically realizes that at that point that she's doing the same thing her dad did to her.
Yeah.
Of just like gaslighting her.
Yep, absolutely. And be like, oh, this is maybe why my father was the way he was. Yeah.
And that's kind of the point where she just decides, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm giving up the crime family.
I'm giving up the crime because it's going to turn me into my father. Renaming won't help.
Yeah. Restructuring won't help. Nothing's working, I'm just leaving. And that's the thing, there's many options for characters to maybe get a happy ending in the show, and then the show just refuses to give them one. It's like, nah. It's not the kind of show, honey.
Not that kind of show.
You're going back to Arkham.
Yeah, you're going back to Arkham. Wonder if we'll ever see Sophia again.
I mean, they tease it with, like, her teaming up with Catwoman, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if we get, like, a Catwoman show at some point down the line.
Right, okay.
That's something I can see them
doing.
I
don't think we're going to get anything till Batman 2, though.
No, but just in terms of other things they might do with this universe, I can see them doing a Catwoman show.
Yeah. I keep being in two minds. I'm like, I can't imagine this Penguin ever being in the room with Batman, and I'm like, oh no, they've already done that. That was in the film.
I wouldn't be shocked if Batman showed up and punched someone in the show.
I would have like a mental disconnect with the tone of the show.
The Batman was pretty dark as well.
I know, but just like, and I know we're saying this show's quite comic booky, but a guy in like the Batman mask and a cape coming down just feels like a step too far for this show.
I don't know how to describe it to you. I just don't have that issue with this show.
Yeah, I mean, like I've acknowledged its comic book nature, right? But there's just something about the visual.
Not in the same way that, for example, if like Luke Skywalker showed up in Andor, I would find that really weird.
Yeah, like I don't know. I would find it very weird if like the titular superhero showed up in this. Just the construction of it, like the Batman walking around the drug tunnel, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got the big.
I have this in my notes. They're in the tunnels, the underground tunnels from Justice League. They run under Gotham.
You're right. I wonder if the Bat Whale gunship's down there.
Yeah, Steppenwolf is down there somewhere.
Yeah, with mother boxes. That they were.
Steppenwolf showed up in this show. Oh, Oswald Darkside would like to speak to you.
They both have mother complexes. We're doing it for mother.
Hey, I like my mama too. Hey.
Hey.
We got something in common here. We can make a deal.
Hey, you want to come to the iceberg lounge? You want to go to 30 below? We got some bliss. We got some things we give to your men. Makes them more loyal. It's called bliss.
Oh my, I want that so much.
Stephen Wolf and Penguin, two sides of the same coin.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I cannot compliment enough how good Colin Farrell is in this show. You don't even think about it being Colin Farrell, really, because of the makeup.
That occurred to me a couple of times watching this. The last thing I saw Colin Farrell in, it might have been The Banshees of Inisherin, which is this gorgeous indie movie about, like, friends falling out, and it's like an allegory for the Irish Civil War, and it's on this little island off the main coast of Ireland, and they kind of talk about the Civil War kind of in passing. Great movie, sorry, I don't want to talk about that all this time, though I would. And Colin Farrell's just a tour de force in it, you know, along with Brendan Gleeson from Joker 2, Folie à Deux. And
we'll get to it.
When you watch that, and you watch Colin Farrell in it, and then you watch this is not the same man. It's...
Yeah, the makeup is insane.
Yeah. We seem to have reached that level. We started to see it with things like Darkest Hour with Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill. But you can still see Winston Churchill's face. You can still see Gary Oldman's face in that makeup. I don't think you see Colin Farrell in this at all.
No. It makes it weird that they cast Colin Farrell, but you know what? He's nailing it.
Yeah,
so.
You're casting him for his talent, not that face recognition, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, you know, props to him that he's not too proud to wear all the makeup, you know. There's a lot of actors who are like, no, you gotta show my face. You know?
Jennifer Lawrence!
Yeah, and a lot of like these comic book stuff, though, it's like, no, you need a certain quota where I'm not wearing the mask, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that was like what the original plan was for like Iron Man if Tom Cruise done it. It was like going to be like a glass mask or something where you could see through it all times.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That would be awful.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they cleverly got around that in Iron Man, though, with like the inside the helmet shots.
Yeah, which has just been mimicked everywhere now, and that's the standard.
Yes.
Good for them. Good.
Still.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. That's not a critique. That's just like, that's how good the idea was, right? Josh Brolin done a good job for Thanos. Yeah. Like you get. I mean, you think of like Ralph Fiennes as Voldemort, and you see it behind the scenes stuff where it's like the nose section, I think, is all CG.
Yeah, well, it'd have to be. Yeah,
well, you could put a big prosthetic over. Star Wars does that, right?
You can't really prosthetic a lack of a nose.
Oh yeah, you could have it like curve up and over because it looks like a bump, you know. Red Skull is like the lack of a nose that's CGI'd, right?
Well, I was going to say too, in Fallout, the ghoul, he doesn't have a nose, and if you see behind the scenes of Walton Goggins, he just has like a big green thing on his nose, so they can CGI it out.
I was thinking of like Bill Nye as Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean. Like that's like some exceptional stuff as well. And then we've turned this into, or maybe I've turned this into the CG prosthetic section of the show. We've also got Sam Witwer's Captain Kirk as William Shatner.
There's something I could make a video about, trying to figure out what the fuck that's all about.
It's a tech demo, Kyle, for the future of Resurrections.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good video idea, actually, Kyle. But not for this podcast, of course.
No.
Kyle, is that us?
Until we get to enter the Star Trek verse.
Oh, let's do it into the Star Trek verse, Kyle. Let's watch all the Trek movies. Let's do it!
All the shows as well.
I mean, we might not be friends, but the amount of time it takes us to get through all of that. Like, right, so episode 5 of season 6 of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Ready?
I'll tell you what, I have actually put thought into how we would do this, and I reckon we would just pick a few episodes from each season and then do it that way. It would be the best way to do it.
Yeah, it would be the only way to do it. It'd be like, that would be like only slightly worse than trying to do it for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Good grief. Is that us with the Penguin?
I guess that's us with the Penguin. I feel like I have so much more I could say about this show.
Well, I mean, now's your chance. I'm not going anywhere.
I'm just reading through my notes here. Here's one. I love the way his mum shouts, Oswald!
Oswald!
Oswald, what are you doing in there?
I could mention to you that the plum leather seats come standard in Penguin's car.
Oh, I could mention that the penguin has the gene that makes cilantro taste like soap. Me too. We're brothers.
Yeah, good for you. I didn't know that.
Not good for me. It kind of sucks.
Yeah,
but
okay, that kind of sucks. Oz
it
and,
means I have to be extremely careful with Mexican food.
Oz and Victor share slush puppies in the mixing flavours whilst Dolly Parton's 9 to 5.
Mixing the flavours.
Yeah, mixing the flavours, yeah.
It's the best fucking thing ever. Yeah.
Oz doesn't want Victor's pickle.
No. But he does like pickles, which is how you know he's evil.
So you know he's evil, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love in the first episode where the penguin is trying to take the body down the stairs and he just says fuck it and throws it down the stairs. Like, why am I carrying it down the stairs?
He accidentally gets caught out showing respect.
Uh-huh.
There's lots of stuff we could do where, and then this happens.
Yes, there's lots of really great little stuff, character moments with Oswald that are just like, this guy. It's normal. It's weird. This is normally not the kind of show I would like because I don't like shows about bad guys usually.
But they branded it the Penguin.
They branded it the Penguin, and he's just such a fascinating figure to watch do stuff. There's a lot of like sort of Sherlock and Moriarty stuff going on here of people trying to back and forth outsmart each other, which is really enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I think maybe that's where kind of my lesserness comes from. It like I've never been a big Penguin guy. Just never been. It's fine character. I like.
This is not a very typical Penguin.
No, but I mean, even the typical one, it's just not really for me. I like the crime underworld side of Gotham. I like the thought of Batman going up against gangsters. I like all that, but I don't know. Penguin just seems a little bit funny to me. I never quite understood why they call him, but I know he's got the big limp in some comics. He's got the big nose and all that. I've just found it just...
Well, they call him a penguin because, like, the three-piece suit they used to wear used to be called a penguin suit.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. And he watches that in the black and white movie when he's sitting watching at home with his parents. Yeah, I know. I've never in any media, the Arkham video games, I actually hot take, I've never liked the Tim Burton Donny DeVito one.
Well, that Tim Burton penguin's just a little freak.
He's a little freak.
He lives in the sewers and he eats bugs and stuff. Not bugs.
Fish.
He eats like rats.
No, he eats fish.
Fish. That's it. He eats raw fish.
Fish. Yeah. We're in the sewers in this one, Kyle. Though, so it's all canon.
It's not the sewers. It's the metro tunnels.
Sorry, it's the underground. It's the subway, Kyle. I love the subway.
It's the subway. Yeah.
No trains like Skyfall, though.
There's some knocked over trains in there.
Yeah, but they're not like moving. I want like moving trains. I want them to have to like jump between subway cars in the tunnel to get to the next chamber, you know?
He sets up a penguin cave, Nathan.
Kyle, where can the people find you online?
The people who can, of course, find me at Kyle the Scott on YouTube, where I do video essays and game critiques. That's primarily me. I guess I'm going to do a video about Star Trek now. I guess we'll see.
Great.
I said it now, so I have to try.
Held to the mark. Everyone, as always, can find me in all social media hosting platforms. Spending a lot more time on Blue Sky at the moment, so you can find me there for a little bit of a buff.
Yeah, there's been a bit of an exodus from Twitter recently for reasons I can't possibly comprehend.
No, I don't have a clue. I'm still on Twitter at time of recording. Mastodon and whatnot. I've been recently speaking about my thoughts about Gladiator. But yeah, that's where and Kyle's comment sections, as always, from time to time. Kyle, it's been fun revisiting the SnyderVerse.
Yes, well, technically, asterisk.
No, I've enjoyed hearing the depressing theme come in. What are we, some kind of Suicide Squad? You know,
Martha.
Nostalgic. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've really enjoyed revisiting this theme, this color pattern of yellow and red. It's been good fun. We've one more trip to make to this universe, we think, at the moment, but that'll be at some point in the future.
Whenever it comes to streaming.
Whenever it comes to streaming. Kyle, next week's it. That's the start of something new. To quote High School Musical.
Of something new. Or maybe something no?
Oh! He did it! Oh! Clap. Well done. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant, that's the trailer. The start of something coming next week. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. It's been an absolute joy to do this. And you can hear us next week for Dr. No.